Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce. Joyce, today, Wednesday night, we're doing the Screen Actors Guild Awards.
Are we just going to make this a nightly thing every week?
I feel like we could. I mean, like it worked for NBC,
right? Like after dark.
It definitely feels a little darker in my office here.
Well, your tree is gone.
All right. No tree, that's gone, and not really a lot of lights. Maybe I should get a ring light or something. You have such good lighting in your spot.
That's like, just, I have a lot of ring lights to give you. I was sent a lot in the past 2 years.
I haven't gotten one. If you're watching this and you have an ability to send somebody a ring light, I would not turn it down. I guess are we allowed to even do that? I don't even know. But if you have a ring light,
you're saying you can be bought, basically.
Well, from we could get like
some con #ad.
Yeah, big ring light. I'm in the bag for them. But Joyce, kidding aside, Screen Actors Guild Awards, we're so excited. The nominees are announced today. Lots of surprises and snubs, I would say.
A lot of things happened today.
So let's start with the actual nominees, and then we could maybe go through the nominees and then figure out like where we went wrong. I got smoked on the film side of things. We're going to do this just as film for now. And then if you're watching this and are like, when are they going to talk about TV? We're going to do another one of these. So if you're watching this and haven't seen the TV one, go watch the TV one. And if you're watching,
we just want a more time to talk about Succession. That's all.
Yes. Yeah. And if you came from the TV one, which we'll post as well, hello, nice to see you here on the film side of things. But yeah, Joyce, let's just start right at the top with ensemble. You had said, I feel like for months that Power of the Dog was not going to make it in here. And I had it out for months. And then I put it in yesterday or the other day. And I was like, it's obviously getting in. It did not.
Why did you do that?
I got fooled by the odds. It was like second in the odds. And I was like, I know it's going to get 3 acting nominees. And it did. And I was like, it's probably going to get an ensemble, even though I would argue it's not like, I don't know. Is it an ensemble? I guess, who knows? This is all of these track here. The nominees for ensemble were Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, House of Gucci, and King Richard.
Very good day for House of Gucci. We're going to talk about the BAFTA long list a little later, but that also came out today, an hour before SAG nominations. So I never had Power of the Dog in. It just like reeked of, like I said this before, like Marriage Story, like Shape of Water, like a top Best Picture contender that gets like multiple individual nominations, although like Shape also missed for Octavia Spencer, who did get in at the Oscars. But it's like too like highbrow artsy type for the populism of SAG. And yeah, I never had it in. I think I got like 2 or no 3 maybe. Yeah, 3.
I got 3. I feel like
Belfast, Coda, and Don't Look Up. I got that. Those.
So I had Belfast, Coda, and King Richard. I felt like those were like the 3 the most locked. And I guess and then parsing down from there, I think Belfast and Coda were like the ones most people definitely expected and got.
Mm-hmm. I had King Richard for a long time, and then I like dropped it like last week, I think, for The Harder They Fall, which like did not get it.
I dropped Don't Look Up for being the Ricardos because I was like, I went in on Javier Bardem, and then the spoiler alert for that ended up being right, and I was like, it'll get in for ensemble. But
that was yesterday when I asked you if I should put in Javier, and then you're like, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna go all in with being the Ricardos.
Here's something I think I learned from these predictions. I feel like I went against my gut because I was just like, I like these. Like I left when I first saw Being the Ricardos, I was like, Javier Bardem is definitely getting. I really felt like he was getting in. Like
you were like raving about it, and then you're like, I can see all 4 getting in.
I could see all 4 getting in. I can honestly still see 3 getting in. J.K. Simmons got snubbed here, probably not. But I was way in on it, and I just was like, even though I still like the movie, I've actually seen it like I've seen it like 3 times, Joyce. It's pretty strange. I watched it
like since it hit Amazon.
Well, total. I saw a screening, and then since it hit Amazon, I saw it 2 more times. So it's definitely like weird that I've seen it that much. It's not like my favorite movie, but I really liked it. I think it's a good movie, and it got raked over the coals, obviously, in the reviews and like on film Twitter and stuff. And I was like, I'm going to change my mind and this and that. Anyway, I went back to Javier Bardem, and that was right. But then on other ones, I was like, maybe I took out things that I think I should have left in. I had toyed with the notion of, for instance, taking out Kristen Stewart. because I just felt like you were saying, like you've been saying for a while, the SAG is more mainstream, let's say. And as we learned from when I first saw Spencer way back at Telluride last year,
Your friend.
my unnamed lady friend behind me at the screening was like, that sucked. And I was like, oh, that was really good. And she maybe was more akin to the voting committee, the nominating committee at SAG than I was, because Kristen Stewart was snubbed. But we'll get to Best Actress in a second. Just wrapping up Ensemble. Yeah, I don't know. You had Harder They Fall. I had Being Ricardo's. I had Power of the Dog.
I also had West Side Story, which only got in Ariana DeBose in supporting actress, and this just confirmed that the screeners were too late.
I bet on that. I actually, the only nominee I had going, we predicted, was Ariana, because I was like, I think because she's playing Anita in West Side Story, it's an undeniable like nomination, basically.
Well, also like she's also built up so much momentum. Like she's become like the acting representative of that movie, even though it could like feasibly get multiple acting nominations at the Oscars still. But she's been like winning all the critics awards. And
she's also like been in a lot of things. I mean, she was in like, she was in Prom. She was in.
Yes, everyone remembered her from Prom last year.
Well, I mean, like they probably saw it though. You know what I mean? And
they definitely saw her in Hamilton. I don't know if they know she's in Hamilton.
Right. So I feel like she was the one who got in, and that I bet on the fact that I think this late screeners would hurt West Side Story.
Yeah.
When you look at the nominees in supporting actor and ensemble, I think it's hard to argue that if they were as widely, if West Side Story was sent a physical screener instead of a digital screener, I think it would have gotten in. I just feel like it probably would.
Yeah, I think it would have too. And it just confirmed like you just have to be early with SAG, because even though like this calendar was skewed this year, it had there were extra 2 weeks of voting, and obviously it was a month behind, because normally like it would end like right after Thanksgiving, and if you sent a screener like the week of Thanksgiving, that was way too late. So even with these extra 2 weeks, it was still too late. And so I think it was underseen. But then again, it basically maxed out at BAFTA.
Correct. Which we'll talk about. But
it was like a wash for them today. But yeah, I just feel like this was a missed opportunity for them, because I think they could have done really well here. And like it could have won Ensemble, and I think they were trying to, I think they still are trying to leg out theatrically. And that's why they kept the screener at bay. They just flew too close to the sun.
Right. And we've seen that before. Like you were saying, I think we were talking about this last week. A lot of like Wolf of Wall Street was one that like missed because of like.
Yeah. Also, the other difference is like a lot of those late breaking films in past years, like those were like Christmas releases as well. Like The Post, or like Phantom Thread, like those also underperformed at SAG. But like, they had like late screener, or like Little Women. I was saying like last week, like when that was late, I just like dropped it completely from SAG, but I was still confident it would get in to at the Oscars, and it did, and got 2 acting nominations too. But like with like West Side, like it opened before Christmas, so I think they were hoping like people like went to enough screenings, like the SAG, the Guild screenings, and then maybe would like go out and see it themselves. So it wasn't like a late like wide release, but I think it was still like the screener issue.
Yeah, and if you're watching this, I mean, like you guys are like missing Don't Look Up was like came out much later. Obviously, I think it's a different animal because it's got the most recognizable names on earth, and it was.
But also, it's on Netflix, and SAG loves Netflix. Correct. Like it's not that like they don't like watching digital screeners, like we said before. Like West Side Story didn't send a physical screener. It's like they know how to navigate Netflix,
right?
And I don't think like they care to like log on to the screening site and like figure out like how to like hook it up to your computer to watch it like on their big screen TV or whatever, like
exactly. All that stuff. So Joyce, early favorites. So like 2 things. Should we wait to talk House of Gucci? Because I'm like ready to throw that in like as a best picture nominee at the Oscars. And then B, what do you think is going to win? I know you haven't made your picks yet, but
I mean, I can do it live right now. Like again, I think this was a complete missed opportunity for West Side Story because they could have won here, and now I'm just like, I don't know. I think Don't Look Up can actually win, even though this is its only nomination here. It will be like in the vein of like Parasite and Black Panther, Lord of the Rings. it has the largest nominated cast, obviously the starriest as well. And like we expected, it's playing well to the industry because it also basically maxed out at the BAFTA long list. I could also see House of Gucci winning.
I actually thought House of Gucci maybe could win, but I put Coda in. I thought maybe Coda would win, only because I feel like it had the additional, though I guess House of Gucci would do too. But I was like, I don't know. I just felt like Coda maybe is the one because it performed maybe as expected. House of Gucci, though, I really think could make a play. And it would be like, I guess, like a David O. Russell-y type win, right? Like when American Hustle won or whatever. Because I could see what you're saying about Don't Look Up, though. And I think maybe that does win because, like we said, the industry definitely loves it. And I think a lot of actors love it. And the cast is, you have everyone from like the biggest stars in the world, obviously like Leo and Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence, to like very well liked like character actors like Melanie Linsky and like Rob Morgan. You know what I mean? It's like a broad spectrum of actors and different levels of the industry. And I think that could help it win. I don't think, I will say this, I don't think Belfast is going to win based on how it performed elsewhere here. I don't think
it was and I guess, you know, it's weird because I think like at this, like, or like leading up to like today, you know, people were sort of like maybe doubting Katrina Balfe, and like she was the one to get it, and then both Belfast guys got snubbed. So but it is, I guess, of these 5 films here, it is the closest to a Best Picture frontrunner, because I still think like Power of the Dog, even though it's not here, but I expected it not to be here, is still in the pole position. So I guess you could say like Belfast is probably top 2, top 3.
I mean, like I think all of these movies. So now the 4 of these movies we've all mostly had in Best Picture at the Oscars: Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, and King Richard. And then I think House of Gucci is getting it just based on this.
I'm ready to like dump Spider-Man for House of Gucci.
We've talked about Spider-Man, still love Spider-Man. And I know if people are watching this again, they're probably like, you absolute hack, because we spent so much time talking about Spider-Man. But I was like, I think we overlooked the fact is House of Gucci was a box office hit as well. So it's like irrelevant in that conversation. If you're like, oh, how are the Oscars going to nominate movies no one has seen like they do? And maybe that's how Spider-Man gets in. But House of Gucci was relatively seen, you know, pretty widely at the box office. It's
the most successful adult drama
of
the pandemic. So,
and it's got, again, because it's a Ridley Scott movie, it has like impeccable crafts, and like all these different people in the departments have worked with a bunch of other people. And I think the actors obviously love the film as well. And it does have that like kind of American Hustle-y vibe. I could see it getting in now. I really could. And I would say as we go through this, I'm like, we had talked about maybe Lady Gaga and Jared Leto missing Oscar nominations. And now I'm like, oh, maybe not. I think they'll probably.
Remember on Friday when I was like, I'm going to like take on Nicole and Gaga. But like, I knew like they would change, like my picks would change after today. And they are. So I just took a 5-day sabbatical.
So, okay. So let's go through the rest here. Best male actor in a leading role. Which we'll call Best Actor for SAG Awards. Javier Bardem, Being the Ricardos, Benedict Cumberbatch, Power of the Dog, Andrew Garfield, Tick, Tick, Boom, Will Smith, King Richard, Denzel Washington, Tragedy of Macbeth. Pretty straightforward list here. I guess the only quote unquote surprise was Javier Bardem here for Being the Ricardos, though I think he is so charming and like really likable in the movie, and obviously has a lot of SAG support because he was a nominee here for like Skyfall, like we've talked about in the past. So I was not surprised to see him show up here. I'll be curious to see how this translates over the Oscars. I feel like 4 probably are safe, right? Like, I mean, Denzel, I think, is going to probably get in at the Oscars.
Yeah, like Benedict, Andrew, Will, and Denzel, I think, are safe now.
So then for the 5th spot, you would have Javier Bardem. You'd have maybe Bradley Cooper still for Nightmare Alley, though that really flopped here pretty much, except for.
Hey, listen, Kate got in.
Maybe Joaquin Phoenix, though that has seemingly died off. Maybe Nicolas Cage for Pig. I think Peter Dinklage for Cyrano probably needed this nomination.
Yeah.
And that he didn't get it is a little bit of a demerit on his award season candidacy. Would you agree?
Yeah, and that's why I never predicted him here, even though obviously like everyone loves him. But it just felt like, like Cyrano, they delayed the release and everything. And it was just like I felt like it was underseen, and it didn't feel like it was a high priority screener for them.
Right.
And I know, like, I think he was like in the top 5, right? And like predicted to get in here.
I think I had him in predicted and he did not.
Yeah. So I think, like, I think most people are thinking like that fifth spot was between him and Leo, because of how Don't Look Up blew up over the holidays. And
I didn't even mention Leo as a 5th spot for the Oscars. So you've been on the Leo train for so long, Joyce.
I know. So and yesterday when I was like floating the idea of like adding Javier instead of Leo, I literally had Javier in for 5 minutes, and by the time I went through the other categories, I was like, I'm gonna change it back. So yeah, I don't know who I would put in to my like Oscar in that 5th spot in the Oscars, because
it seems like, yeah,
like,
go ahead.
but at the same time, like that, like Javier got in, like I could easily see him missing at the Oscars, and I could
too,
see
but
like a passion pick like Nicolas Cage getting in the vein of like a Willem Dafoe for At Eternity's Gate,
right. I think Nicolas Cage has a really strong shot, and I think he's obviously like an industry favorite. I feel like a lot of people like him, and he's kind of like aged into that like spot where like a lot of young actors are like look up to him, or like the movies that obviously grew up on his movies, so they're like in awe of him. If you watch the Hollywood Reporter roundtable with the actors, like he's like the elder statesman there, which is just weird to me,
and
because
just
it's like
told like amazing horse stories, Rain Man,
amazing stuff, just amazing. And I'm like, he's been doing a lot of knock around roles and stuff recently, and like this is definitely a return to form, I think, for his his talent, and obviously he's a former winner, so I could see Nicolas Cage getting in. I think Javier Bardem is a strong shot. I still don't believe in Leo as much as you do, just because I don't think it's like an all-time Leo performance.
No, this would be probably like just film wise his worst reviewed film if he were to get in at the Oscars.
Right.
I don't like I said last time, like this is the true test for him if he could get in here. And he didn't. Like
right.
the ensemble got in. So there's still like a path for him to the Oscars. Like he didn't make the long list at BAFTA.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if I could see him both like getting the necessary #1 votes for the Oscars on the nominating ballot, but also not getting enough, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Like it's not truly, it's so divisive that it's like not like a truly passion pick, and it's not his best performance ever either. So
right. And I think that's why I'd still like might lean towards Bardem, because I think, well, maybe it's not his best performance ever. It's definitely like he's not done stuff like this in the awards movies that he's been in contention for. You know what I mean? He's more known for either obviously like playing incredible villains, or like deadly serious stuff like Beautiful is, you know what I mean? Like, or The Sea Inside, right? Wasn't that him as well? Was that his movie, Joyce? I know they didn't get nominated, but I'll look it up. Anyway, it just, this is,
sorry, I just like stopped listening because I was like doing my predictions.
Totally fine.
Continue.
But I was like, this is much more of a lighthearted, there's more like a lighter touch to what he does with Desi Arnaz and being the Ricardos. And I think that could really help propel him in. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. These 4, like we said, Benedict Cumberbatch, Andrew Garfield, Will Smith, and Denzel Washington feel pretty set. And I have Andrew Garfield winning, Joyce. We've talked about this.
I put him back in first because I
have him winning at SAG, and I think he'll might go all the way at the Oscars, but we'll see.
I mean, I know like Will is the front runner.
Yes.
But there is a lot of passion for Andrew's performance.
It feels like a lot of the actors really do have warmed him.
You saw Juliana Margulies' Instagram last night, so yes.
People love Andrew Garfield. All right, best actress, Joyce. This was a
wild
category.
So you can read the nominees.
Okay. Jessica Chastain, Isaac Tammy Faye, Olivia Colman, The Lost Daughter, Lady Gaga, House of Gucci, Jennifer Hudson for Respect, and Nicole Kidman for Being the Ricardos, and no Kristen Stewart.
Yeah.
Joyce. What happened and what are we going to do about it?
So yesterday, while we were discussing Javier Bardem, we also discussed the possibility of Kristen Stewart being snubbed. And I talked to two other people about this at the same time yesterday. And we all were like, oh yeah, she could get snubbed. But then like 2 minutes later, we're like, she'll probably get in. Like she won't win SAG, but she'll get, like we've been saying this the entire time, like she's not gonna win SAG, even if she ends up winning the Oscar. And then you just snub her completely. So
pretty wild. I guess it's hard to say I didn't see it coming because we did talk about it, even though people have to take us at our word that we were slacking about this because we never, I don't think, put it in any kind of writing. Or
we can just attach a screen grab of our.
Well, we do have the receipt. I guess I would say like I'm not surprised, and I'm also I'm not even convinced she'll get Oscar now. I don't even know if she'll get nominated at the Oscars. I think she will. Maybe.
I think she will, but I think she's like number 5 now.
If she gets in, she'd be number 5. I think the problem is the movie just doesn't have a lot of passion for it.
I mean, like your Telluride friend.
And also it feels like it came out 1,000 years ago. That's the other issue, I feel like.
So the other thing about us is like, I think Neon did like the best job it could with it. Like it hit the festivals, obviously. It was released in November. Did a ton of press in the lead up. She did everything, and they also sent out screeners early for SAG. So this was not a late screener issue.
No.
Like they just did not take to it, and there were always like stories of people walking out of these screenings, like the guild screenings, because they were just like WTF, like your pal.
Right. And the other thing is like we talked about, like if you look at the list of nominees outside of Olivia Colman for The Lost Daughter, who we could say that's in a very arty movie. I'd say it's definitely at least in the same area code as Spencer, right? I think it's better personally, and I think it's more entertaining certainly, but it is definitely an art house movie. These other 4 performances and movies are as mainstream down the middle things as you can find, and
all playing real people.
And all playing real people. And I think Spencer then with Kristen Stewart is a complete outlier because it's not a traditional bio. And while she is doing Princess Diana, it's definitely not like any of these other actresses doing their person. And I think that hurts her performance because obviously there is a reason why biopics do so well in awards. People like that traditional expectations. And by subverting those expectations, maybe you're going to win more critical acclaim like Spencer has, obviously, because people really like it, especially critically. But maybe, when you're sitting down with the screener, you just want the Eyes of Tammy Faye version of Princess Diana, not the Spencer version of Princess Diana.
Yeah, the Spencer as a whole, what do they call it? A fable?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the opening title card. Yeah, it's I think it's just alienating.
That's a great word, Joyce. You nailed it. Alienating is right.
To just like a populist group like SAG.
Yes.
So and like we've mentioned before, it's SAG-AFTRA now for the last 10 years now. Oh my gosh, it's been 10 years since they merged. So it's not just actors in there. So you could get mad that like, oh my god, actors like can't appreciate Kristen Stewart's performance, but it's not just actors as part of the membership anymore. You just have like like radio people, like
sure,
your local news reporters, just media personalities, and now influencers can vote too. So they might not understand the nuances of acting and like performances as like an actor does, and yeah, like it's not your typical biopic, like all these, like I think the fact that Olivia got in, like I when I considered dropping Kristen Stewart, or we were also talking about like adding J HUD. So when I was thinking about adding J HUD, I would have dropped Olivia to add J HUD. Like I wasn't going to drop Kristen to add her, but I think the fact that Olivia got in just speaks to like her stature in industry and like the respect she's commanded since The Favorite. Like she passed the test that Leo did not pass. Like she got in with this, not a biopic. This, like you said, like Lost Daughter, kind of artsy, more highbrow, but I think like people just love her. That performance is great. Yeah. But it's like she can both now appeal to like the highbrow crowd, the middlebrow crowd, and like maybe even like the lowbrow crowd, and like I know we joked about this like way back, like what now, like 5 months ago, like right after the Emmys. about like Emma, like how when Olivia won the Emmy, like she beat Emma Corrin, her co-star, who played Princess Diana. And then we were like, what if she also wins the Oscar and beats Kristen Stewart, playing Princess Diana? Like, what could happen now?
The other thing with Olivia is, like we were saying, from a SAG standpoint, certainly, and just a visibility standpoint overall, Lost Daughter is on Netflix, and Spencer is still not on streaming. I think it's still like you have to rent it, I believe. I don't think it's not like it's on Hulu yet, even though I know Neon has like an output deal with Hulu, so that could have hurt as well. I guess from the Oscar standpoint, I feel like we've had a lot of. I've had Nicole Kidman in first at the Oscars, and to still have her there winning for Ricardo's. Lady Gaga I've had in for a long time. I think Olivia Colman as well, and I've toyed with Jessica Chastain in and out, and Jennifer Hudson mostly out. I've had her in maybe once. The people who missed here that I would say beyond Kristen Stewart was like Rachel Zegler and Alana Haim. I'll get it right. Haim. But we could chalk that up to either.
I think Rachel is like the screener issue.
Certainly, because she was on the BAFTA long list, and so is Alana.
Alana was too, but I didn't expect her to get in here, although Bradley Cooper got in, but I think for different reasons.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had Alana in my Oscar 5 since November, but I never predicted her here. I just didn't think she had a shot against all these biopic-y performances.
So do you think Jennifer Hudson could translate this to an Oscar nomination? It is a big performance, obviously a well-liked biopic performance from a former winner. And it's been hanging around for literally months. August. I don't know. And, Jennifer Hudson she made that Hollywood Reporter Actors Roundtable cover. She's been like remaining visible. Does she get in? And I mean, honestly, could she get in over Kristen Stewart at the Oscars as well? I still think like maybe Rachel Zegler or Alana Haim gets in maybe one of them, but I could see also Jennifer Hudson getting in.
I get like, I kind of go back to like, does she have like the passion for like number 1 votes or like, top 2 votes? And I don't know, just because like she is one of so many biopic performances. Like I don't like, I feel like, like Jessica has a lot of passion for that performance. Like she really elevates like Tammy Faye,
She does. I mean, if you watch the movie, you're like, she's amazing.
Yeah, so that's why I was like trying to like figure out a way to like get her back in
right
last week. So now I think I'm gonna have both her and Nicole in. And yeah, so like someone we haven't mentioned who did not make it in here is Penelope Cruz, who also missed the BAFTA long list. Like not a great day.
So that I think
half of the Bardem Cruz household.
No, I would say that was more upsetting from a Penelope Cruz standpoint than this.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting her to get in at SAG. That would have been huge for her to get into SAG. But the fact that she missed the long list, like it's sort of stunning. Just like how like Kristen missed here. But like Penelope is someone I can see like getting at the Oscars, like with like the passion number 1 votes.
Maybe you're right. I mean, obviously,
like more so than like J Hud.
Yeah, I can see that too.
And then like we were saying like last week, like who is gonna be like this field, like the Oscar field could have 5 nominees, not from Best Picture nominees. And like, what if it's just Gaga? Like,
now I think it actually might be, right? Like I really do feel like.
Yeah, because we were saying like the top Best Picture contenders are West Side Story and Licorice Pizza, like top 5,
Yeah.
But like at the same time, Rachel Zegler and Alana Haim are newbies, like like debutantes, film debutantes, and they haven't really asserted themselves completely into like the forefront of the race. So,
and it's not fair,
I could see 1 or 2 of them getting in. I don't know. I have to update my Oscars 5 too. I just
the thing that I think that it's not fair, because I think if there was just one newcomer, they would have a much, you know what I mean? If it was just Rachel Zegler, I feel like she would absolutely get in, because everybody could just focus there. Like, we fell in love with this performer we've never seen before. Like,
I mean, I don't think like you only have to vote for one newcomer, but like, yes, all the attention would just be like.
Right. And I think having Alana and Rachel in there together, it kind of diffuses it a little bit. Who's going to win this category, Joyce, without Kristen Stewart there? I still have Nicole.
I mean, like winning. Nicole, I've had Nicole here in first, even when I dropped her for 5 days from the Oscars. I've had her winning SAG. Like, seems like
the safe bet. I would.
It'll be her first film SAG because she's only won for Big Little Lies.
Right. So. I guess the only other strong. I guess if you based on the strength of the films, Lady Gaga would be a strong runner-up, possibly.
I can see Gaga winning. Yeah, so like Gucci is the only film, right, of the ensemble nominees to get multiple individual acting nominations.
That's right.
Because King Richard also surprisingly missed for Argent Alice.
Pretty shocking.
Yeah.
Let's go now to the supporting categories, because we love the supporting actor in a motion picture.
Just chaos.
It's chaos, and my favorite thing, and like I love this category so much, and I only wish Mike Feist could have made it in, but
I still think he can make it at the Oscars.
Okay, so the nominees in this category were my faves: Ben Affleck for The Tender Bar, Bradley Cooper for Licorice Pizza, Troy Kotzer for Coda, Jared Leto for House of Gucci, and Cody Smith-McPhee for Power of the Dog. Neither Kieran Hines, nor Jamie Dornan got in here. You were out on Jamie Dornan, I feel like, for a long time.
I never had him in my Oscar 5, and now I feel great about it.
Yeah, I think that the fact that he didn't make it here is a tough beat for his Oscar chances. And then Kieran, I don't know. I'm just shocked that he didn't make it.
Yeah, so I'm only mad at myself because yesterday I dropped Jared for Jamie because I felt like maybe they would be more like into Belfast.
Yes.
Than like the divisiveness of
Gucci.
Gucci. And on all the pigeons. But no, they were way into Gucci and not Belfast.
No.
So
not into it.
This category is completely unhinged. And I love it. And did you keep Ben?
I did not. I'm such a hack. I had been in. I watched Tender Bar again. We saw Tender Bar again, another movie we saw like 6 months ago.
And I know you texted me the other night, and I was like,
and I watched it again. I was like,
again when they were so untruthful to Long Island.
It is one of the most derelict impressions of Long Island I've ever seen. Nothing makes sense in any kind of capacity, but it's just a regular
That's
movie.
not what Manhasset looks like for anyone who's never been to Manhasset.
Not at all. Nothing. My mother and father watched it. My mom was saying the same thing. And anybody who lives on Long Island is going to say, what is this? Yes. That said, the movie's really kind of nice and fun, and Ben is amazing. I think he's great in it. And I put him in, and then I took him out like an idiot. And let me see who I put in. Hang on, I gotta load up the window.
But I cannot believe you did that after yesterday's amazing EW cover and interview by Matt Damon.
Such a great, it's an incredible moment for me and for you because we love Ben Affleck. I took him out. Here was my list of SAG nominees. This is so embarrassing. I'm just gonna read it off. I had Kieran in first. I was like, I'm so convinced.
Wow.
He's gonna get in. I had him in first. I had Cody Smith-McPhee and Troy Kotzer. Those feel like the most basic, obvious nominees, and they will probably carry over into the Oscars.
I think those are the only, like Cody and Troy are the only locks in this category.
That's it. Then I had J.K. Simmons because all of a sudden I was like, Ricardo's love, here it comes. And
well, that's the funny thing because we're like, if another Ricardo's actor is getting in, besides Nicole, it'll probably be Jake. Like he was more predicted than Javier.
So, and then I had Jamie Dornan, and I took out Jared, and I took out Ben, and I took out Bradley Cooper, 3 of my faves for no reason. And if I would have left them all in, I would have run this category. Just unhinged. So from a long BAFTA standpoint, again, not that everything has to correlate. Ben Affleck did not make the BAFTA long list.
He did not. No.
So that's maybe a slight that is going to be tough for him to overcome.
I think it is. So like this category, just those 3, Ben, Jared, and Bradley, like very mainstream.
Yes.
And then you got Cody and Troy.
Right.
Who
and I think,
not many people know.
Right.
But who are also like the 2 locks right now. I think Kieran is still fine. I think he's like 3rd now. But I think he'll be okay. I think he'll miss, or like he'll get into BAFTA if he's not top 2 there.
If he misses a BAFTA, he's not.
Then I'm just like, yeah.
But
I also think like this category could easily translate just 2 for 5 to the Oscars, like it did 6 years ago when only Mark Rylance and Christian Bale got Oscar nominations. I could easily see that happening
Same.
because like the Academy, like I feel like, like we said, like with the merger of SAG-AFTRA, and then also the influx of new members at the Academy, like the groups are just becoming increasingly divergent. And the Academy is so much smaller than SAG. Like there's only 9,000 members. And in the acting branch, I think it's just a little over 1,000. And the SAG Nomcom has 2,500 people.
Right.
There's more people in the SAG Nomcom than there are in the Academy acting branch. And there's more overlap with the BAFTA membership with the Academy than I think will be like with the SAG as a whole, like the entire SAG membership, which would vote for the winners, 160,000 people, which is massive. So now I don't really know what I'm going to do with the Oscars here, but yeah.
I think Cody and Troy are safe.
Yeah, I think they're good. I think I'll keep Kieran. I'm glad I never had Jamie.
As a wise person who Joyce once said, a coattails here is probably a strong bet. So I think Mike Feist would probably be a much more likely best supporting actor nominee at the Oscars than here, and perhaps even a BAFTA, though he did make the short list. I think he could get in still, because
I think I decided after I saw West Side Story on November 30th that like he's going to be my Paul Raci of the year, like someone I just unconditionally support throughout the season. And it was a lot easier last year with Paul, even though he missed some precursors. But he was like the critical favorite.
Yes.
So he got a nomination. I knew he wasn't winning, but it was fine. 2 years ago, it was J-Lo for me. That did not turn out well. But I saw the writing on the wall when she got snubbed at BAFTA. But yeah. So I just want Mike to get the nomination.
I think he can though, Joyce.
I think he can because he made the BAFTA long list, like we said. I think that he has like an outside shot of getting the nomination. I don't think he's top 2 there, but the jury could still pick him. And then yes, like my whole BP cocktail argument. And also I think he has a lot of passion for his performance. Like I think if you watch the movie, everyone loves him. Like my friend saw it over the holidays with her parents, and like she texted me, she's like, oh my God, like they're like, my parents are just like raving about like Riff.
Yeah, no offense to any of the other. No offense to David Alvarez, who I think is great as Bernardo,
who's also on the long list.
And Ansel Elgort, who has not been in the conversation, but just as another male performer in West Side Story. I think you walk out of that movie and you're like, Mike Feist rules. There's no other male actor in the movie who can touch his performance. And then with like someone like Rachel Zegler, you also have not only just Rita Moreno, but also Ariana DeBose, who are both really incredible in the movie. And obviously Ariana is like a front runner for
and
an
Rachel's
Oscar.
in a tougher category.
Right. So I'm just saying, like, you walk out of the male actor you're walking out of West Side Story thinking about is Mike Feist. He like rules. And I think he'd get in. And then that would leave. So if you have Kieran, Cody, Troy, Mike Feist, the other, like we've talked about, the other coattails potentials would be like Jesse Plemons for Power of the Dog. I still think is in play, though I really could have seen him more likely getting nominated here than even at the Oscars, because I think he's got like a very good, strong reputation among actors. And then I don't know, maybe Bradley Cooper then for Licorice Pizza is like actually like pretty set. I think that he got in here when nothing else from that film got recognized, probably a late screener as well, and another kind of in the same boat as West Side Story from I think
they got the screener like a week before West Side Story.
So it's like not the most
but also he's like super famous.
He's super famous. He is, and he has Nightmare Alley, which obviously helped probably. But I really do think he'll get in at the Oscars, Bradley. So I think I've had Jesse Plemons in for I guess like a month since I made like my coattail argument. I think I'm gonna actually drop him for Bradley now. I think this is like major for Bradley to get into SAG for a 7-minute cameo, and also the fact that like he's done no press for this movie at all, like none of the non Alana, and I don't even think Cooper has done that much press. Cooper Hoffman, he hasn't done it.
Alana, like Sean Penn, like nobody, like none of those like supporting / cameos have done any press, so he's just like cruising to
he's just cruising
another nomination here, like his 9th nomination. But
I think he's in.
Yeah, so I think I might put him back in, but also because like Licorice Pizza is a Best Picture nominee as well,
Right.
or like we're expecting it to be. Whereas with Jared, like yes, like Gucci could be one, but I think it's also like his performance is also divisive. And I think like a lot of like the love for that movie is with Gaga.
Right. I think Gaga's performance is like unimpeachable. Like even people who are lukewarm on the movie are like, she's really great. And I think Jared's performance, your mileage may vary because it's very big. Like
and then with Ben, who I would love to see get nominated for The Last Duel. I think like we said last week, I think he could be the Jared Leto of the year, like of the little things like last year, you know.
Yeah.
Because if he gets in here, he would be a lone nominee.
That's going to be a big issue.
Like the supporting categories favor coattails, like people in Best Picture contenders. Like Bar, no offense, is not getting nominations anywhere else.
And it's not getting no other nominations, right?
Yeah, and I also can't see it being a passion pick that gets a lot of #1 votes.
So I wonder though, here's the thing. If it was anybody other than Ben, I would say yes. But I think he has done, you know, the guy's got 9 lives in Hollywood. He's obviously a comeback guy. I think the way he's shaped his narrative in like the EW cover, like you were talking about, is that he's now focused on being an actor and he's giving his best performances of his career off the way back, Last Duel and Tender Bar. And you could argue he's not wrong. Like those are 3 great performances, right?
He's always been a great actor. I think he's just been misused because he's not your traditional leading man.
Right. And now all these movies are like kind of using him properly. That plus, so I think he's got a great narrative. I think obviously he's like got a lot of goodwill amongst people in Hollywood, even though he kind of like stepped in it with that like Jennifer Garner, Howard Stern interview, while a lot of it was taken out of context.
I think was completely taken out of context.
It was, but
listen to it. So.
I know, I don't disagree. I believe I watched it, but I'm just saying, like people, if they didn't listen, if they didn't take the time.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's just like the Jeremy Strong profile. Yeah,
right. It's just like he's terrible. Like, but he kind of like came back from that. Obviously, the EW cover I think is great. He's obviously really well liked. I think when he works with George, obviously George Clooney directed Tender Bar. You know, we have Argo as like a example of like it's a good luck charm, and I think having George Clooney out there stumping for Ben Affleck will only help Ben Affleck. Like when we saw it months ago now, George like was very charming and gregarious and a great salesman for the movie and for Ben, even though Ben wasn't there. I don't know. I could see if there is somebody to break that lone nominee spell, I could see it being him. And I guess the only case I would have then would be, does Kieran and Jamie, do they actually cancel each other out for Belfast? And is it like a situation where we've kind of expected Kieran to take the leap and like be the front runner of that category from Belfast, from as among the men, the supporting men? But I'm like, Jamie Dornan is really well liked. Maybe that is why. Maybe they're just gonna knock each other out. There's not enough support for either of them, and then maybe Ben sneaks in.
So you're saying like a reverse Daniel Kaluuya and like Keith Stanfield.
Kind of, yeah, honestly. Because I wonder if you're just like, oh, like if you're looking at this category, like does the depth of, and this is just like idle, nonsensical speculation, but is the depth of the category, like we've said, there's like literally you could come up with another 5 SAG, you know what I mean? It's like a crazy deep category, or like a lot of lack of consensus beyond like Cody Smith-McPhee and Troy Kotzer. Does that actually hurt the Belfast guys and specifically Huron? Because like, you know, when you get down to it, you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to put, you know, maybe I'll put him 5, you know, will he not have enough top support? Because you're going to be like, oh, I'd rather like kind of weigh, you know, one of these other longer shots like a Ben Affleck or Jared Leto or whatever over Huron. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, yeah, I could see that as well. Like him not getting enough like #1 votes.
Yeah.
Like,
that could be a problem, I think.
Yeah, because I also like it's weird because I can never get a consensus on how people feel about the performances in this movie. Because
correct.
I feel like you talk to like people who've seen it, and like someone thinks like Katrina's the best, and someone thinks like Kieran is the best. And someone like loves Jamie, you know. I guess like Judy's the only one who's doesn't get like raves on par with them.
She's just not in it enough.
Yeah, she's not, although she has like the final line and
the
shot.
final image.
Yeah, so, and you know, Kieran also exits the movie halfway through. I don't know, like,
yeah, he does halfway through, and he's only got like I mean, if you think like, I guess if
None of the adults are in it a lot.
that's true. And also I think if you're thinking of like the memorable moments, like you said, I think he's got the least memorable moment. He's got like, his emotional character because he plays the boy's grandfather, and obviously he ends up like imparting a lot of wisdom on him. But I mean, like the standout moments in the movie are like Katrina Balfe on the bus and Jamie Dornan singing and Judi Dench in The Last Shot. Like those to me are like the three best moments in the movie. And he's not in any of those moments. And
no, he just gives Buddy like advice.
Right. And it's just not as memorable as those other things. And I think if you're not a big fan of the movie and you're just kind of like remembering the movie, you might be like, oh, yeah, he was good, but I like Ben Affleck better. I don't know. I mean, it is a pretty wide open category. I don't know. I could see him missing it at Oscars too.
Yeah, I think we're kind of banking on him like getting in at BAFTA. Yeah. Just because he's like, a veteran and stuff. And then that will be enough for him to make it an Oscars. But yeah, I could see them both missing there. Just like here, like I said, it could go 2 for 5 and I would not be surprised.
No, but bless the Ben Affleck nomination. Anybody else here, Joyce, who we not mentioned who you think can get in, I guess, at the Oscars based on
what was there like I do feel bad for Robin DeJesus because I know some people were kind of predicting him as like an outside shot, also to like sort of I guess like validate like an Andrew Garfield prediction to win, right, or like that, or like Tick Tick Boom in ensemble. So I don't know who else.
I think that's it. I mean, like we said, it is a very deep category, but I was very pleased to see Ben there, and I have Cody Smith-McPhee winning.
I think he's just like gonna sweep now.
So I guess the only pause was, does Troy or I don't know, does Troy have enough juice to win? I don't think he does, but
I think like the nomination will probably be his reward. I guess you could say like maybe Coda is more like mass appealing than
that was the thinking, but I don't know.
But I think Cody has built up so much momentum. Like I think he also benefited from like the early perception of the race, like way back in the fall when, everyone was talking about him, Power of the Dog, and people were also talking about Belfast, and people were double predicting Belfast here. And now like they like those two guys both flopped here.
Right.
And no one was even talking about Troy that much because it was kind of like, maybe Marlee Matlin, and she hasn't made anything either.
Right.
So, and then like Troy, like once he won like the Gotham Award, that's when he started like really popping. Right. But Cody has still been dominating like Critics Awards and everything. So I think he could just sweep from here on out.
I think he might as well. And it is a great performance. So that'll be nice. And then finally, for Joyce, for the acting, best supporting actress, we've talked about this: Katrina Balfe, Cate Blanchett, Ariana DeBose, Kirsten
Cate Blanchett for Nightmare Alley.
Cate Blanchett for Nightmare Alley, Ariana DeBose for West Side Story, Kirsten Dunst for Power of the Dog, and Ruth Negga for Passing. So Ruth Negga was a surprise. No Anjanae Ellis.
So I like remember last week when I was like, if Ruth makes it in here, I think she's good for the Oscar nomination. So I'm putting her in, or putting her back in.
She was also in the BAFTA long list.
Yes, which that was less surprising, but
and
so
Ruth wasn't even nominated
I was like
here.
So happy about like Ruth getting in that I initially did not even realize that Ingenue was snubbed. Like I heard like Cate Blanchett, so I was like, oh my god, like she made it in, and maybe like like Marlee didn't get in, and then like Ruth got in, and it didn't even like occur to me that like someone was snubbed until like I realized like Kristen Stewart was snubbed, but I was like, oh my god, Ingenue was snubbed like 10 minutes later.
So I could very easily see this of all the nominations and categories we talked about. I could actually see this one translating 5 for 5 at the Oscars.
Like with Cate.
Yes, I could really see that happening. Even though Nightmare Alley is seemingly flopped, I think people really, really love Cate Blanchett in that movie, and she's like a deliciously, mischievous and villainous in the film. And I think it's just a bigger, kind of louder performance than Anjanae Ellis, and I think maybe that'll end up hurting her. I don't know. I've had Anjanae Ellis like in there since August, but I'm not convinced it's going to happen. I just, what the problem is, I wonder if there's is there enough passion for her performance? Like, I think, it's maybe 4 or 5 on a lot of people's ballots. And again, maybe if you maybe just ends up missing because of that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is the snub that like it's the low-key big snub that is not being talked about enough. Well, I don't know, but like I think everyone's talking about Kristen Stewart, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh
Or
yeah,
the
like
Belfast guys.
yeah, and like, oh yeah, Angelina was also snub, but like the fact that, I mean, we all expected Will to get in, that wasn't a surprise, but like King Richard also got into ensemble, and she was snubbed. And I know people like, for months were also, maybe she wasn't number one in the prediction center, but people like thought she could win this, if not the Oscar.
Right.
And now she's not even nominated here. And that is a very SAG friendly performance. King Richard is very SAG friendly film.
Yep.
Like aspirational, inspirational. She has like a big moment right in the middle of the film. She lays into Will Smith. That's her Oscar clip. So it's like the fact that she missed to like a performance in a film that has not been doing well, like Nightmare Alley. I think it only got like 4 mentions on the long list, and obviously just for Kate here. Kate made the long list, but for Don't Look Up. So I'm just like, that could cancel. She could cancel herself out because you can't get double nominated in the same category. I think Angelina can still get in at the Oscars. So I think like of all the categories, I think this category has the most firm possible lineup with Ariana, Kirsten, Katrina, Ruth, and Ingenue. But I could also see her missing because I think Ruth will have the passion votes and get like number ones to get in.
Absolutely. And I think like the others are kind of set. I mean, Kirsten Dunst, I think the fear was maybe she was going to go down the path of like Amanda Seyfried last year, missed at SAG, obviously still got in at the Oscars, but the fact that she got in here, it just feels like locked in that she'll get in at the Oscars.
It's funny because I know a lot of people were doubting Kirsten to get in here, and like she's the one who got in, and it's Ingenue that missed,
I mean, I guess I don't know. I just think I could see Kate getting in for Nightmare Alley. I really could. I think the headline of that movie is her performance and Bradley Cooper in the end of the movie. And like all the craft stuff. And so I could still see her getting in. I don't know. But the others are all safe. And I think Ariana DeBose, the fact that Rita Moreno did not get in here, which I felt like was a really good shot of her getting in here, even though the screeners were late and everything. But the fact that Ariana got in with all the West Side Story issues of,
yeah, I mean, that just shows like how far ahead she's been. So I think Rita has an outside shot at the Oscars. But yeah, I guess it just depends on like how big they go on West Side Story. And this is the category that's friendliest to double nominees.
Yes.
So
who do you got here, Joyce? Ariana, right? For winning?
Yeah, I have Ariana.
Yeah. I mean, so before we go, Joyce, anything else on the BAFTA long list? Anything that shocked you?
I don't know if, I mean, well, like we said before, Don't Look Up got 15.
So Don't Look Up is going to get like a ton of nominations at the Oscars.
Well, I wouldn't be so sure about that, but because I actually looked up last year's. So here, let me read off last year's stats.
Please.
So last year, Trial Chicago 7 had 15 long list mentions, got 3 nominations.
Okay.
Mank had 14, translated to 6. Promising Young Woman had 13, got 6.
Okay.
So those were like the top 3.
So Don't Look Up could get like picture, screenplay, a few more. Score, right, editing. Maybe.
I don't know if any of the actors will get in. Like, I don't think Leo was top 2, and I can't see the jury's picking him.
I will say I was kind of surprised that Jennifer Lawrence made it. That kind of stood out to me. And I was like, I wonder if she'll get in here at BAFTA, just on her name alone. And it is I think she's the best performance in the movie. So if you like the movie a lot, maybe you like her the best.
I can't see the jury picking her because I don't think she'll be I don't know who is in the top 2. I mean, no one does, but like, I mean, I can't
I can't see her being in the top two. And then
like, because I don't think like Kristen Stewart is in the top 2 now.
No, I think it'll be like I mean, what if it's like Olivia Colman and Lady Gaga?
Honestly, I could see it as like Olivia and Nicole. Like yeah.
Well, the other wild card I would say is Renate Renziv.
I think she would be a jury pick.
So I think she can get in here. I doubt I said her name right. But it looks like
that was good.
That was good. Renate Renziv, yes. For worst person in the world, another late comer from Neon. It's not even out yet. I think it comes out like, I mean, it's going to be at Sundance. You know what I mean? It's like it's screened though at a lot of different festivals. So, yeah, I could see. I mean, that people love that movie. I think it's a lot in the same conversation as like a Alana Haim.
Yeah, like I can see Renata being a jury pick. I can see Tessa Thompson being a jury pick.
I was gonna say Tessa Thompson too would be a jury pick.
Rachel Zegler being a jury pick.
Or Amelia Jones.
So there's 6 slots. So there's 2. The top 2 automatically get in. We don't know who they are, and then the jury picks 4. So then, I don't know about Kristen Stewart.
I mean, if she misses here, even with the I don't know.
Okay, so the other thing is Oscar nomination voting closes before BAFTA nominees are announced. So BAFTA nominees won't influence Oscar nominating voting.
No, but we'll have a good idea of what the large international body of voters maybe is thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, I'm looking, nothing really else stood out. I guess from a SAG standpoint.
Well, I guess like for in lead actor, on the Belfast side, Jude Hill did not get longlisted.
Scott Feinberg is gonna be upset because he had him in there still, I think, for best actor.
Yeah, so that's not great for it, because Woody Norman, also another child actor, got longlisted in supporting actor. I mean, you could say like, supporting is different than lead, but
Cooper Hoffman got in on the short list for Licorice Pizza, so long list, I guess it is. For in the lead actor.
But like one of your faves, Ana de Armas, got in for
I saw that and I love that. I gotta be honest, I'm into that. The long list has Ana de Armas and Anya Taylor-Joy from Last Night in Soho, 2 great performances in 2 very mainstream movies that did not maybe do.
What if the jury picks Ana de Armas?
I mean, they would be awesome if they did. She would definitely deserve it. If Bradley Cooper could get in for Licorice Pizza, which is a great performance, so should Ana de Armas. She rules.
She's in it for more than 7 minutes, right?
She's in it for like 9 minutes, and she rules.
Just edged them.
Absolutely best part of the movie.
I mean, I haven't seen it, like, but that's what everyone says. Like, she comes in, kills it, and then leaves.
So how about another one? Just looking at the BAFTA long list, Ann Dowd made it for Mass, but obviously no SAG any love for Mass. It felt like if Ann Dowd was going to get in any Oscar conversation, she had to.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I like Bleecker. Like the word on the street was like they really targeted their campaign towards the actors, obviously, because it's that whole film is just the 4 of them. And yeah, they came up short. And I think so for the compilation of the long list, it's the top 12 vote getters and then 3 jury picks for a total of 15. So I think Ann Dowd was a jury pick to make the long list because Mass didn't even make screenplay. Yeah.
Last one here, and then we'll wrap up from a BAFTA perspective. Jessie Buckley for The Lost Daughter. I could see her making it in either from a jury selection or basically from the jury. Do you think she has any shot at the Oscars? Again, it would be a long shot, and we've already talked about how supporting actress is kind of like firmed up. But I think if Lost Daughter ends up overperforming at the Oscars, she could seriously make it in. She's awesome in that movie.
I think it would be similar to when Sally Hawkins coattailed off of Cate Blanchett for Blue Jasmine, which did not make it into Best Picture, but the difference is that Cate was stomping that entire season. She just swept, which Olivia is not doing right now.
Not yet. So, wait until.
But she hasn't, like Cate won everything.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
All right, Joyce, this was fun. If you're watching this and like, when are they going to talk about TV? Go watch our TV.
So more Succession talk.
We'll talk about Succession and also Yellowstone, which
your bragging rights.
My one bragging right. And Joyce, this is fun. We'll talk more about this obviously in the future, but talk to you later.